Welcome to episode 16 of PokeClass. I hope you all had a great Christmas and New Year, but are ready to get down to the rest of the season of Pokemon. As you can see, I'm making a few changes to PokeClass, including the new intro at the beginning, new layout, and new features of my show. I'm going to be doing a show every weekend as usual, but instead of having just a deck analysis or report on a tournament, I'm going to fit in a lot more so that I can cover more things about the entire game. I'm adding a new section to the beginning of each episode so you're all in the know about the latest Pokemon happenings from around the globe. I'm also going to be doing a deck analysis in each video and maybe adding talking points about subjects within the Pokemon community and expand on them during the show. On top of this, I'm also adding a section where you can send in your deck list to me and I'll showcase them in a section called Deck Surgery. This section will be all about fixing up competitive decks, be it metagame or rogue, and giving opinions on how to make it better. I'll give more details about this later, so let's get on to the episode. There's been quite a lot of news over the festive period, mainly about our newest set, Call of Legends. This set is going to feature 106 cards, which will contain a handful of new cards missing from the Japanese sets that we didn't receive, along with a ton of reprints from older sets. This sounds a lot like EX Power Keepers, where cards from previous playable sets were reprinted with different artwork. Now, Power Keepers did feature reprints of cards that weren't in the current format, so who knows, we may get great cards back such as Azel for Mysterious Treasures, Roseanne's Research, or even the greatly missed Claydol. However, this is all speculation, so we're just going to have to wait until the set comes out to see what the set contains. Another card that could potentially be in this set is also creating quite a stir, even before Triumphant was released. Lost World is a stadium that is a lone card that Japan have, which makes Gengar Prime into a powerful deck. Instead of taking 6 prizes, you need to send 6 of your opponent's Pokemon to the Lost Zone, play Lost World, and you've won without even taking a single prize. Japan's current format is Heart Gold Soul Silver on, so it may not have as big an impact on us until rotation later in the year. People are even speculating a mid-season rotation. This card will bring a whole new deck to the metagame if it's released, but again, we'll have to wait to see if it gets printed in Call of Legends. There's a lot of mixed opinions about Lost World, but what do you think? Recently, PokeBeach.com has posted a new image of the upcoming tins that will be paired with this set. Pokemon promo tins are a great way to get 4 packs and an exclusive promo to boost your collection or even add to your deck. The tins will feature special promo packs of the new black and white Pokemon along with a figure and 4 boosters to be picked from Platinum, Heart Gold Soul Silver and Call of Legends. This sounds like a great deal to me and gives us a little preview of the black and white cards as well as getting a nice selection of boosters while Platinum is still in the format. This set will hit our stores on the 9th of February, the tins will come in March, and pre-releases will be held throughout January, where you'll be able to get this new deck box rather than sleeves, so make sure you check them out. As a final part of news, any of you that play the Pokemon DS games, Pokemon Black and White has finally received its release date, and it will hit our shelves on the 6th of March. I know many people have been looking forward to this, including myself, so make sure you get your copy. Onto a deck analysis now, and I've been reading a lot of Cities reports, recently featuring a deck that has seen an uprising in play since Triumphant was released. The deck is centered around Uxie and is called the Uxie Donk. A donk is what we Pokemon players call a first turn win, or when you win in the first few turns by ridding your opponent's field of all their bench and KOing their lone active Pokemon for the win. With the release of Triumphant brought a powerful new addition to the deck in the form of Seeker. Seeker is a supporter that allows you to pick up one of your Pokemon on your bench and your opponent then does the same. The reason for using this in this deck is because you usually get the donk if your opponent starts with a lone basic and passes, but with Seeker they can start with 2 or 3 Pokemon and you'll still be in the donking range. Using Uxie as the main attacker is for 2 reasons. The first is that it can attack for a colourless energy and then have the option of being put back onto the deck for reuse later in the game. The second reason is that you'll be running a high number of these with an extremely good Poke Power setup. This Poke Power allows you to draw up until you have 7 cards in your hand when you play Uxie from your hand to the bench. This makes the deck even faster when paired with others such as Unknown R and PokeDraw Plus. Here's a skeleton list that can help you get started on Uxie Donk. So we start with 4 Uxie for draw power and as our main attacker, and then we have 3 Crobat G. Crobat has a great Poke Power, Flash Bite, that allows you to add 10 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon. This is another card that makes the deck worthwhile as you run 4 Poke Turn, which can mean up to 70 extra damage if you use all of these in a turn. That's enough damage by itself to KO most basics before you even attack. Up next is 4 Unknown R. Unknown R has the PokePower Retire, which allows you to discard Unknown R if it's on your bench, and then draw a card. This just allows you to grab any extra cards during your turn and increases speed and consistency. This deck doesn't run many Pokemon, so it's on to trainers and supporters. First we have 4 Poketurn. This card is solely used to reuse Crobat G's Flash Bite and be able to pile damage onto an active Pokemon or any bench Pokemon to try and get extra KOs. 3 or 4 Super Scoop Up is also great for reusing Crobat's Pokepower, as well as picking up Uxies for more cards if needed. Being able to scoop up Crobats and play them back down straight away means that you can add an incredible amount of damage in one turn without even attacking. A new card from Triumphant next, and we run 4 of them in this deck. Gengar. Gengar allows you to discard 2 cards from your hand to get a trainer back from the discard pile. This is great for reusing Pokedraw Plus, Poketurn, Super Scoop Up, and even Luxury Ball. It gives you the chance to discard cards from your hand as well, like multiple Seekers or extra cards you won't need to use in order to grab a key trainer such as the extra Poketurn for a KO or Super Scoop Up for an extra Uxie drop. Plus Power is a card that aids the final attack from Uxie. This card lets you add 10 damage to your Pokemon's attack, meaning that you can rack up 60 damage from Uxie's Psychic Restore with 4 attached. Using Uxie's Psychic Restore can also allow you to put all of those plus powers back into the deck in order to reuse them. However, this rule is going to be errated in the future, but we don't have to worry about that yet. Next is Quick Ball. This card allows you to keep revealing cards from the top of your deck until you come across a Pokemon and then put it into your hand. This may seem a bit too much of a random choice, but with only 11 Pokemon that can all help your setup, you won't find any of them unusable. Pokeblower Plus allows you to flip a coin, and if heads, put a damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon. 2 of this card can also be played at the same time to switch around your opponent's Pokemon, but in this deck, you'll mainly use it to get even more damage onto other pokes. Pokedraw Plus is great for getting through your deck as fast as possible. 2 of this card can also be played at the same time, and if you do, you can search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. This is great for giving you the chance to grab a key card for the current play. Just playing a single one of these cards allows you to draw another from the top of your deck, which also helps a lot with the deck's speed. Dual Ball is another great card for getting your basic Pokemon out of the deck. This card allows you to flip 2 coins, and for each heads, you can search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it into your hand. This can get you an extra Uxie, Crobat, or even Unknown R you need for the current play. Luxury Ball is a card that you can slot into any deck, and means that you can search your deck for any Pokemon apart from level X and place it into your hand. This is another great way to grab key Pokemon and can be reused well by using Gengar, as you can only usually play one of these per game. Running 3 or 4 Pokédex allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and place one of them into your hand. This is yet another way to get key cards into your hand and helps even more of the speed of the deck. And finally we have Seeker. As mentioned earlier, it forces your opponent to pick up a bench Pokemon so that you can donk with Uxie. The energy in this deck is up to you in what you want to run. You could run normal Psychic Energy or even Grass, as it doesn't matter what type you use on Uxie. Some say you can use Call or even Cyclone Sea in play to disrupt your opponent further. This decision is up to you, but 4 energy is advisable. This leaves space for around 4 cards, which can be filled in by things such as Expert Bell for extra damage, Unknown Q for free retreat of Unknown R, Warp Point if Unknown Q is prized or you don't choose to run it, and Dunsparce from Heart Gold Soul Silver is also a great addition, as it can reuse Expert Belts, plus power, and energy as it goes back to the hand after it attacks. Dunsparce is also a great attacker for the late game, and improves the SP matchup by being able to one-hit KO Garchomp C and Dragonite FB. As you can see, this deck can become incredibly fast with the ability to mill through its entire deck in a single turn. Also having the ability to rack up high amounts of damage without even attacking means that you can even donk opponents to start with 3 or 4 Pokemon, meaning that they need to start with 5 to be definitely safe. If you see a lot of this deck in your area, then try taking in Mesprit from Legends Awakened, as this deck shuts down the main draw power of the deck with its Pokepower Psychic Bind, or you could try going with Vilegar with Spiritomb Star. This means that they can't use the high amount of trainers in their deck, making it an almost impossible game to donk with. This deck has been causing quite a stir at many cities in the US and the UK by being able to win on the very first turn against many decks that aren't Vilegar. Why don't you give your own build a go, as it's not too expensive to build and is very competitive at the moment. This leads us on to an issue that has been striking the Pokemon TCG community for some time: donks. A lot of players seem to think that donks are a real issue for the game, as it doesn't offer players to play a decent game before being declared the loser from a bad start or by playing a donk deck like Uxie. I'm torn on this discussion, as I think that donks are part of the game, but at the same time, it's very annoying being donked during important Swiss matches you may have been able to win. What do you think about donks? Leave me a comment in the box below of what you think. The final part of this episode brings me to a new feature I'm going to be adding, Pokemon Dan's Deck Surgery. The Deck Surgery is going to be part of the show, where I take a look at competitive decks that you send me which you feel need fixing. Right now, I obviously don't have any to fix, so this week I'm asking any of you to send in your deck lists that you need advice on, and maybe your deck could be featured in the next episode. You can PM me via YouTube with your deck list and your name, and I'll PM you back if your deck will be featured in the next episode. Get help with your competitive deck lists before that final Cities tournament. So that's it for the first episode of 2011. I hope you all like the new format and are doing well at Cities. If you haven't already, please check out my website at pokemondan.co.cc, where you can find all the latest news about everything Pokemon. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode. Thanks for watching.